Ah, f me. Oh. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Okay, it didn't come on. Oh, thank goodness. Well, I don't know if you saw that tumble. Oh, God. Okay, so that obviously... Oh, my God. Take the cap off. Oh, my goodness. Thank gosh. Oh, thank gosh. Hey guys, how we doing? And today we're going to talk about the Pentax K70. I've talked about it quite a bit. I realized I had never done a video that actually explains the K70 or why I like it. I've given a lot of reasons, but they're scattered throughout the different videos, so I thought I'd make a video specifically giving the 10 reasons I like the Pentax K70, why it is in my arsenal, and is it good for 2023? This Pentax K70 was a great camera when it came out, and here's some reasons why I think it's still a great camera, starting with number 10. And that would be, well, it's GPS optional. Most cameras do not have the option for GPS. Okay, the geotagging, you can do that with this camera, and the only reason I guess I bring that up is most cameras in this price range do not offer that. Number 9, built-in flash. Most pros would tell you never use a built-in flash. Well, I'm not that pro. I've used this flash a lot, and I've come up with some great photos. This flash works well with this system, this whole system here, the 130, the 18 to 135, and the flash. It works in group situations. I've used it a few different times. I've been paid to photograph social gatherings, and I use the on-camera flash. I don't add additional flash to it, and they seem to come out fine. Again, I do use Lightroom, and I shoot in RAW, so I am editing the white balance and things like that, but nonetheless, I've never had any complaints, and nobody has ever asked for their money back. Quite the contrary, they're always very happy with the quality of the images, and normally this is my go-to for that because of the exceptional quality I get out of it, and I've got the 18 to 135 that I can play with and not be stuck with a prime. It just works out great for that situation, and the flash works fantastic. Okay, number 8, it's got a microphone input. It's nice that it has it. It doesn't have the headphone jack. Video kind of sucks on this, but we'll get into that later on. If you're shooting a birthday party, maybe a wedding reception, something like that, you want to get a little bit of video, it's doable. The point was it's got the microphone input jack. Okay, number 7 would be the menu. It's got a really nice menu. I guess I have to turn it on here to show you the menu. I kind of thought when I bought this, or when I was researching this, that I would not like this menu because it seemed a little kind of for old people, like the big phone, the big button phones and that sort of thing. So it seemed a little, I don't know, weird. But now, after I purchased it and used it, I love it. It's great, especially on the fly when you're out in the field and when you need to get to your basic information and change that on the fly. It can be tough. This makes it a lot easier. I really like the menu on the Pentax cameras. Now we're getting to the flippy screen, and everybody loves the flippy screen, right? And it will flip. It'll go in different directions. Why use a flippy screen? Well, if you want to shoot like this and you're way down low or you're up high like that. But nonetheless, I do really like the flippy screen. It's not a touch screen, but at least it's a, you could use it for vlogging, but again, the video is not that great. So, but if you needed to, you could use it for vlogging. It would certainly work with the flippy screen. They call it a vari-angle screen, a 3-inch vari-angle. Most people call it the flippy screen. Okay, now Pentax was actually one of the first manufacturers that came up with an option to where you didn't have to be fully manual, but you didn't have to be fully auto, and they called that TAV. And what that is, a lot of cameras have this now, but Pentax was kind of one of the first ones to come out with it, and that is you have your shutter speed that you set manually, you set your aperture manually, but you pick an ISO range. And what that means is you can go from 100 to 1600, 100 to 3200, 1600 to 6400, whatever the case might be, and it will never go less than that, will never go more than that. And that's really nice for street photography where noise doesn't bother me. You know, high ISO noise doesn't bother me because it's gritty street photography. Or if you're in other situations where you're on the fly, sports photography, things like that. It's one thing, you want to set your shutter speed to get the action, freeze the action. You want to set your aperture to maybe get a lot of depth of field or no depth of field or whatever you want to do there with the aperture. But then, you know, setting that ISO, changing all three settings for a shot constantly is not the way to go. That's full manual shooting. I like the optional ISO variability. That just to me seems to work even with a few other cameras I have as well. Now, another thing is, this is an older camera, but it's 24 megapixels. What does that mean? Well, that gives you a 6,000 by 4,000 millimeter, whatever, micro, whatever, image. And what you can do with that then is blow that up. And the 6,000 to 4,000, that's comparable to my Canon full frame RP and a lot of other cameras. So, you know, now megapixels do not determine fully the quality of the image you're going to get. That has a lot to do with the sensor in the camera. Got a very nice sensor, so no problems there. But it certainly goes a long way. At least you're not dealing with 16 to 18. This is already up to 24. Now, the real thing that separates the Pentax camera from a lot of other lines, especially the lower priced ones, this is completely 100% weather sealed, weatherproofed. It's got 100 rubber seals. And I've shown this video a million times. Almost every Pentax K70 video I show this, but I'm going to show it again. You're not usually going to put this under running water or drop it in a snowbank, but if you do, well, obviously it'll still come through okay. Why? Because it is truly a weather-sealed camera. A lot of cameras say weather resistant, and what that means is it might be, you know, a little snowy, or it might be sprinkling and you're out there and you don't want to go in, you don't have anything to cover your camera with, and it starts raining a little bit. That's okay, you can wipe it off. But if it gets wet and the drops start going into the little buttons, that's where you have a problem with most cameras. With the Pentax K70, it's weather sealed with rubber seals, so that water just rolls right on out. Normally, you don't want to stand in a downpour, take photos, but, you know, you never know what you're going to find yourself into, so you never know. But the other thing, by the way, on any camera, including a weather-sealed camera, if you have a lens that says weather-resistant, weather-sealed, it may truly be, but no lens can avoid getting water on the barrel and then getting sucked into the lens housing. It's not like a squeegee that's just going to push that water out. So no matter what lens you're using, always be careful of that. If it's a zoom, it's weather resistant, but it can still get wet and suck that in there and have moisture. So that is one caveat when you're talking about a zoom lens that's weather resistant. Number two, okay, we've got eye detect and face detect. Again, very important. A lot of cameras have that now. It's pretty standard fare, but back in the day, you know, in the 2016 or what have you, a lot of them didn't have that. Pentax has got that in there. Works great. I love it. You can, you've got tracking, you've got all kinds of different autofocus options. But boy, that eye focus, that's something that, because a lot of times you'll notice that you might focus on the nose or just somewhere on the face, and you assume, well, with depth of field, we should be good to go. And then the eye's a little fuzzy. That's just irritating, especially when you've got a good face shot like that. So it is nice that it has eye detection and actually focuses on the retina or on the pupil or whatever it focuses on, but it does it better than you can do it. So if you're taking portraits, always try to go with the eye focus, eye detect, auto detect, that sort of thing. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to do the job. You're going to come out with a better quality, crisp, more in focus photo. Okay, and before we get to a couple negatives, number one, in-camera stabilization, image stabilization. Most cameras don't have that. You have to buy stabilizing lenses, but the Pentax K70 has it built in, so even if you buy an off-brand lens, a cheap lens that does not have image stabilization, which most of them don't, so what does that mean? Well, it means it will compensate up to 4.5 stops of light. So what does that mean? Well, when I grew up, with film cameras, you were always told don't ever shoot less than 1/60th of a second of a stationary object, or you're going to shake a little bit. The camera, even if you push the the shutter button, it's going to a little bit. So it's going to have a little bit, microscopic even, bit of shake to it. If you go down to 1/30th of a second, 1/15th of a second, you're done. There's no way. Well, with image stabilization, of course, with 4.5 stops, that would take you down to, you're not going to get to a second. I don't know what that would be. I haven't done the math in my head. 60th, 30th, 15th, on down. So whatever. But the idea of shooting at even 15th of a second on a stable object, to me, doesn't seem like it's possible, but it certainly is. Low light situations at night, it's really cool to use that. You might get a little noise, but that doesn't bother me. You can also take care of that in post-processing. If you're going straight to JPEG, then you've got to deal with that. But you're probably not going straight to JPEG if you're experimenting with very, very low light situations. Now, a couple of the negatives. Well, okay, like I said before, it doesn't have the touch screen. I can, when you're used to using a touch screen, you get used to it, but that's okay. Again, a bit of a throwback. I don't have a problem with that. The weight. This thing's heavy. It's already, my fingers are sore from, compared to a Fuji X-T1 or something like that. This thing is a dinosaur. It's a tank, but it's also heavy duty quality. And I've dropped it. It popped off a tripod and went tumbling. And I thought, oh my gosh, that was like the second time I used the camera. And I thought, well, now I've screwed something up. But that was a couple years ago, and it's still going strong and still going great, so it didn't have any effect on it at all. Of course, it wasn't concrete, it was dirt that it landed on, but freaked me out. And other than that, just the crappy video. It is, 1920 by 1080 or whatever that is, 30 frames a second. If you've got this camera, you're out, you're taking photos, you're at a birthday party, at a wedding, out in the park, at an amusement park, and this is your go-to camera. Yeah, you can get some video on here of the kids and that sort of thing, the family, and maybe a tornado breaks out. Oh my goodness, something like that. We have tornadoes here in the Midwest, United States, and they just pop up out of nowhere. But it's good for stuff like that. But in general, you'd probably want to find. I'm using a GoPro to do the video. I mean, I know it's not great quality either, but it's better than this. So a few negatives, but in general, yeah, it's an older camera. It's a 7 years old. 2016, I believe, is when it came out. Let me know what you think, guys. Leave a comment below. Do you own a K70? Do you like it? Did you sell it? Did you regret selling it and go buy it again? Are you looking for a new camera and therefore you're looking at this video because you wanted to find out more about the K70? Did I help you with that? Please like, please subscribe. We'll have more of these videos coming out. And happy shooting, guys. We'll see you on the next one.